Hi guys, doing and welcome to another Arc Garage video. If you want to see more Alfa Romeo related content, make sure to hit like, share and subscribe. Today we're going to be working on this Alfa Romeo GT. More specifically, we're going to be replacing the valve cover gasket on this 1.8 twin spark engine. The same procedure you're going to see in today's video can be used to do the same job on pretty much any modern twin spark engine found in Alpha 145, 146, 147, 156, GT, GTV, and even 166. If your car has a twin spark engine and it's taken oil, this is definitely one of the things you should check out. If we take a look right here at this exhaust shield, you can see the oil residue, and if we take a look underneath the cover without removing it, you can see that the gasket is leaking oil. That's because these rubber gaskets solidify over time and basically turn into plastic. As I said, you should definitely check this out because leaky gasket can actually increase the amount of oil your engine takes significantly. To do this job properly, you will need a socket set like this. It doesn't have to be as big, but you need to have Torx bits. You also need a couple of flathead screwdrivers, and the best thing would be to use the rib bits because they are used by Alfa Romeo, but as you can see right here, the ends are actually squared off. But if you don't have them, you can get by with Torx bits. You also need your new rubber gasket. As you can see right here, there's this big one is for the valve cover itself, while the little circular one is for the oil cap. Alright, let's get started. The first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take the oil cap off, and even though we'll be taking the valve cover off, I'm still gonna put some paper towel right here to prevent any dirt or screws from going in. And I'm gonna start with these 4 screws which hold the engine cover on. I'm gonna continue by undoing these 2 connectors right here. They are actually for the wiring for ignition coils. We have to do this so we have more room to take the valve cover off. Alright, here's one. Here's the second one. I'm also gonna undo these plastic clips which hold the wiring. Alright, now you can unplug your coils by pressing on these little tabs, and after you do that, you can move the wiring to the side. Now we gotta remove these 2 hoses, and using my flathead screwdriver I'm gonna remove these factory clamps. Now I'm gonna start removing the screws which hold the coil assembly. I'm gonna remove this one the first because it's the one that has the ground attached to it. We got 3 more screws, 2 in the middle and 1 on the left side. There's actually 1 more screw which holds the valve cover, and it's located right next to the top one in the middle. It's used to help you pull out the ignition pack out. I'm gonna pull these spark plug wires by hand. and our coil pack is basically free. Now you can pull the coil pack out. If the engine is hot, make sure to use some thicker gloves. Let's take a look inside. As you can see, there's some oil in the spark plugs, but to be honest with you, that's not too bad, and we're gonna get rid of this oil easily. I'm gonna remove the oil from the spark plugs using a compressed air and a rag. If you don't use a rag, you're gonna spray the oil everywhere around your engine bay. It's gonna be extremely hard to clean it all off. This is the screw that I was talking about. If you have trouble removing the coil pack, you can undo it and it will push out the coil pack a little bit, freeing it off. We got 9 screws that we gotta remove to completely remove the valve cover. Alright, check out around to see if you removed all of the cables, and you can start removing the valve cover itself. Wiggle it out a little bit, and it's out just like that. If we take a closer look, you can see that somebody actually used a silicone sealant right here, and the problem with it is that it's breaking down in contact with oil. Now, these rubber gaskets are not meant to be used with silicone sealant, and the worst part of this botched job is that they used a poor quality sealant which is breaking down, and it's possibly contaminated the oil also. So we'll have to clean all of this off. If you find yourself in the same situation and you can't get it off with a rag, use a small blade, or you can even use like 800 or 1000 grit sandpaper to get everything nice and clean. Now I'm gonna remove the old gasket. As I said in the beginning of the video, this thing basically solidified and it turned to almost plastic, and that is one of the reasons it's leaking oil. Now when you take the gasket off, the screws which hold the valve cover are gonna be able to fall out, and you gotta keep track of them because some of them are longer, some of them are shorter, so you want to make sure that you know which screw goes where. Here's our engine. It's all nice and clean. As I said before, I first used the rag, then I used a small blade to get the rest of the silicone off, and I also used a 1000 grit sandpaper to get everything nice and even. I've cleaned my valve cover with some gasoline, but you can use a brake cleaner or something like that. Here's our new gasket. Make sure that you fit it nicely into these ridges. The one area where you have to pay close attention is the one where the screws go. These screws have these like metal uh, jackets which need to go through the rubber gasket, so you need to push on the screw from the bottom, and you gotta get the gasket over them, as you can see right there. Now you gotta do this for each individual screw. To get a bit more room to put the valve cover back on, we're gonna use this 5mm Allen socket to undo the screw which holds the timing belt cover. Now that's enough to give us maybe like a centimeter of room that we need to put back the valve cover. Now I'm gonna place it back onto the engine. I'm gonna move it around a little bit to get it nice and tight and into the position. Alright, now that's seated nice and tight. Start your screws in with a hand or with your ratchet extension. You don't want to start them off with a ratchet. In case they go in crooked, you mess up the threads and you'll be in a world of trouble. Now that we got all of these screws in, we are moving on to the ratchet. Although this is not necessary, I actually always like to start from the middle and go to the outside. Alright, we got that done. Now I'm gonna put back in the Allen screw which holds the cover for the timing belt. We're ready to put the coil pack back in. The installation process is gonna be the exact reverse from the disassembly. Do not forget your ground right here, and also start in your screws by hand or with your extension. You don't want to mess up the threads. Now I'm gonna take the wiring and I'm gonna put it back into the place. I'm also going to reattach all of these plastic clips which hold it. I'm also going to reconnect these two connectors right here. We are moving on to the hoses. I'm gonna put back these factory clamps and I'm gonna use the old school piece of pliers to put them back on. Now do a quick recheck, make sure that you got everything covered, that you put back in the hoses, all of the wiring and everything else. We got one more gasket that we need to replace, and that's the one on our oil cap. You can use a regular flathead screwdriver to remove this one. After you get this one out, take the new one and basically just press it in with your fingers. Now after I rechecked everything one more time, I'm gonna put the engine cover back on. We got 4 more screws to tighten up, which hold the engine cover on, and we gotta put back on the oil cap, and we are basically done. That would be it for this video. If you liked it, hit like button and support our channel by subscribing.